Richard Branson halts $1 billion project with Saudi Arabia over Khashoggi disappearance.
Here's a summary of the article.
Virgin Group founder Richard Branson has suspended a $1 billion investment project with Saudi Arabia due to the disappearance of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. Branson made the announcement Thursday as U.S. senators sparked an investigation into the circumstances surrounding the mystery of the missing U.S. resident and Saudi critic. What has reportedly happened in Turkey around the disappearance of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, if proved true, would clearly change the ability of any of us in the West to do business with the Saudi government, Branson said in a statement. The Saudi government announced its intention to invest $1 billion into Virgin Galactic and Virgin Orbit last year, according to CNBC. Khashoggi vanished October 2 after he went to the consulate in Istanbul to get paperwork so he could marry a Turkish citizen. On Wednesday, a bipartisan group of senators sent a letter to President Trump that requires him to determine whether Saudi Arabia is responsible for the killing Khashoggi. The result could result in U.S. sanctions against the Saudi regime. Referring to possible sanctions against Saudi Arabia on Thursday, Trump that he would not be in favor of stopping a country from spending $110 billion and letting Russia and China have that money.
This post received a score of 46,144, with an upvote ratio of 94%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Hopefully, reports of what happened to him are wrong. I feel bad for his family and friends. This is just horrible and wrong.
Being on the wrong end of power, money and politics is still a death sentence far too often. Sad that is the case in this day and age.
People will look back at this time and the way we treat people no different than we look back at how things were 100 years ago.
I feel the exact same way. Sadly, I'm expecting it to take much longer than our lifetimes, likely well over 100 years. Future societies are going to be able to look back and get the full grasp on how many atrocities were overlooked during our time. They're going to see, despite how far we've advanced in global communication and geopolitics, a massive failure to instill basic human rights to all areas of the globe.
Don't worry. With our climate change stance, there won't be any future societies to judge us.
Except the merpeople. Ahach merman. Merman. I got the black lung pops.
It's good to see the president of the Virgin Islands taking action on this issue.
Is it bad that I googled to make sure that he didn't just up and buy some islands?
He actually does own an island in the British Virgin Islands. As to why I made the joke, from this time last year, Trump says he spoke to U.S. Virgin Islands president, which is him. I remain convinced that he actually spoke to Richard Branson and got it in his head that Branson is the president of the Virgin Islands.
Richard Branson actually owns two, Necker Island and Mosquito Island.
And Quickakisset Island, where the currency is kisses and everyone is rich.
Greater than Quickakisset Island. BRB immigration.
Wasn't there just a thread saying he was dragged out of his office and dismembered, Khashoggi that is, or was that debunked?
I think Branson's statement came before what you're talking about was known.
Suspended the project. Not indefinitely. It appears they want to talk to the Saudi officials about the incident before going further. Call me a skeptic, but when playing with $1 billion, I fear this may just be for optics and not necessarily a punitive reaction to the utter insanity of the Saudis' actions.
If he was doing it for looks, then wouldn't he also be mindful of how it looks to a bunch of batshit crazy Saudis who just brazenly dismembered a journalist? Skepticism is fantastic, but money talks. Richard Branson also has fuck off money, so if he cared about his image, he'd probably be covering up the deal rather than doing this.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.